Hey everyone, today is January 13th, 2026. We're currently standing right in Bryant Park looking at the ice skating rink. Now, the Winter Village is coming down, but the ice skating rink will be up until March, so you do have the opportunity to take advantage of that. However, the Christmas tree is down, as well as the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree that is also down. But on today's walking tour, we're going to be going all the way up to the Upper East Side of Manhattan, particularly East 69th Street. I have to head up there anyway to take a quick video for a client regarding a parking garage, so I thought it'd be the opportune moment to take a video and kind of show you guys what New York City looks like now that the cold front is out of the way. I mean, it's a gorgeous day in Manhattan. I just got back from Miami. It's about 45 degrees. With the wind chill, it feels like 37, but the sun is out and it feels great. So we have the New York Public Library, the Stephen Schwarzman building just off to our right. We have the SUNY College of Optometry directly in front of us. And we're going to be making a right here on 42nd Street. And we'll go all the way towards Park Avenue. You're going to see some really nice shots of the Chrysler Building and One Vanderbilt.
All right, thanks, Danny.
You know, you also really kind of get a feel for the city now that the major, I would say, tourist season for the holidays have kind of come to a conclusion. If you're looking for a good deal on a vacation or a trip to New York City, I would recommend coming right now, even though it's quite cold and it's not the most ideal time to come to the city. Hotel rates are going to be significantly cheaper now. I would say from New Year's, January 1st, all the way through until April 1. That's kind of the slow lull season here in New York, and then it kind of picks back up for the spring and the summer. Now, a little bit of a kind of an anecdotal piece of data and off note I wanted to share with all of you. I was down in Miami for the weekend, and my gosh, was it packed. Now, granted, this is really what's considered the high season down in Miami. All of these snowbirds from pretty much New York, Boston, the East Coast, the Northeast, you could say, and even a lot of Canadians. I've seen a lot of Quebec license plates driving around Bal Harbour, Surfside. So this is their high season. It's kind of like an interesting trade. Things are very expensive down there in terms of hotels, travel arrangements, and it's quite the opposite here in New York. But, again, anecdotally, I mean, the economy seems to be really, really rocking down there, at least for, the top 10% of people, as we kind of make our way through this K-shaped recovery since the pandemic about 7 years ago. This is now walking down 42nd Street, looking right at that beautiful Chrysler Building. This is one of my favorite Art Deco buildings in the entire city. Now, I always say this, but you really got to take advantage of this view whilst we have it. Because that big black building just off to the right of the Hyatt, just off to the right of Grand Central Terminal, that is the Grand Hyatt. And that's set to come down. So that building is apparently going to be taken down, and in its place is going to be this tremendous office tower that's going to be over 1,000 feet tall. So that will kind of obstruct that view of the Chrysler Building, unfortunately. Now for the new year, we also have some New York City updates. They've raised the price of the subway. It's about $3, but they also raised the prices for the Metro North and Long Island Railroad too. I think it's like $1, maybe off peak now. Just to give you some context, if you want to take the train out of Grand Central Terminal to like a New Rochelle or Larchmont, Greenwich, off peak is going to be about $9 now, and during peak hours it's $12.75. So it's still the best deal in order to get to the city, but things continue to go up, prices continue to rise. We are now standing on the corner of Madison Avenue and 42nd Street, headed towards Pershing Square. Foot traffic is slated to pick up a little bit. I mean, it's about 3:30 as I'm filming this video. So, in about maybe an hour or two here, we're going to have peak rush hour in New York. Just got a quick notification on my phone. It looks like silver is printing up at $88 an ounce. I mean, what a massive, massive move. And even gold now is $4,600 an ounce. I mean, we've had our targets for gold at that big Jesse Livermore round number, 5,000 for gold. This is an amazing shot of the beautiful Grand Central Terminal as we look over towards Pershing Square. Now that I'm back in New York, another exciting video that I'm going to be filming is a part 2 of Tudor City. Now Tudor City, I mean, it looks a lot better in the summer, obviously. I really enjoy going there in the summer, but I'm going to be filming a winter tour just because it's been, let's just say, very much requested on the channel. But Tudor City is great. There's a lot of history. We're going to be doing a full in-depth review of Tudor City, the history, just how Tudor City came about. Now you wouldn't kind of really think Tudor City would be quote-unquote affordable living, but when it was first in development, that was kind of the goal of Tudor City, to create like a middle-class kind of housing in Manhattan. But we'll talk more about that a little later. I'm really, really excited to film that part 2 series in the winter. A few other things coming up a little bit later on as we make our way into the spring. I'd say maybe, end of April, early May, we're going to be filming a Sutton Place walking tour. But what's going to be really interesting about that is we're going to have access to all of the Rosario Candela buildings, particularly the one at 1 Sutton Place South, and you guys are going to see one of the most stunning properties, or I should say units, inside 1 Sutton Place South. If you've been watching Walks and Wall Street for some time, you'll know that I tend to highlight a lot of those great architects, particularly during the 1920s era. I particularly find that era, as it relates to New York City specifically, very interesting. And the reason why I say that is because during the Roaring 20s, you had a huge boom, obviously, on Wall Street and in deal making, and the industrialists, and really a lot of New York City was built during the 1920s, the Roaring 20s, leading up to the 1929 stock market crash. So there was a lot of activity with some very famous names that all of us know in the audience here. So I think coming up to the springtime, I'm going to be doing a very specific focus on a lot of those buildings, the Rosario Candela buildings, the Emery Roth buildings, and that will bring the vast majority of our tours to the Upper East Side. to Sutton Place, the Upper West Side. So I'm really excited about that. Just kind of mark that on your calendars as we move our way through winter. We'll have something to look forward to here. We're now coming up on Lexington Avenue. And we're right outside of the Chrysler Building now. I'm just going to stand off to the side so you guys can see a little bit of the facade at least. Again, 42nd Street and Lexington. The Chrysler stands in between 42nd and 43rd Street. Great building. Now, there's also a coffee shop that I frequent, and I mentioned this almost to the point of ad nauseum on the channel. It's called Watch House. Now, their first location is right on 53rd Street, right off of 5th, but they have opened yet a second location inside the Chrysler Building, which is really nice, and that one's a lot less crowded, let's just say that. So perhaps the next time you're in New York and you're visiting the Chrysler Building, you can go inside the lobby, by the way. So a lot of people don't know that, but if you're a big fan of Art Deco and you're in New York City, go inside the Chrysler Building. You're allowed to. It's open to the public, but you just can't film. You can take photos all you want. They just don't want you filming in there, so feel free to do that. And if you walk all the way to the back, you'll see the entrance to the Watch House. Grab yourself a cortado, something along those lines. In any event, we're going to continue on our way here. We're now pushing eastbound towards Tudor City. This is 3rd Avenue we're approaching. Oh wow, it looks like they just recently closed down this Capitol Grill. Let's see. Does anybody remember that? Right here used to be a Capitol Grill location. Looks like it's totally gone. One more shot looking up at the Chrysler Building here. It's awesome to see the blue sky for once in Manhattan. So we're going to head to the Upper East Side. The reason why I wanted to take this route is because I want to check on one of the most interesting construction projects, in my view, in the city. Now, we all know that we have a new mayor, right? And from my analysis, I believe one of the biggest selling points, if you will, of the new mayor was, him hammering on affordability. New York City is very expensive. Rent is too damn high, as that guy famously said. That's now a meme. So, right over here, everybody, we're going to be taking a look at the old Pfizer headquarters. Now, this is a massive project, and this is going to be, once it's complete, the largest office to residential conversion project, not only in New York City, but in the entire United States of America. And the vast majority of the units here are going to be dedicated towards affordability, right? Affordable housing. So based upon a few specific requirements, if you go to the website, you could enter what's called a lottery system. And depending on your household income, let's just assume you're married with 2 kids, right? Based upon that criteria, if you make, let's say, under $150,000 or something, you'll be able to potentially qualify for one of these apartments based on how many kids you have, how big your family is, so on and so forth. So you can see here, work in progress, residential. The anticipated completion date is December 2027. I think that's pretty... I mean, I would be very impressed if they've managed to complete this project by December 2027. I mean, this is a massive project. But in any event, Pfizer has now moved their New York City headquarters west to the Hudson Yards. And the Hudson Yards we've covered a lot on the channel. The Hudson Yards is a related group development, which I happen to like, particularly as they've extended the 7 train to Hudson Yards. Not only do you have a lot of residential going up at the Hudson Yards at quite steep price points, but you have a lot of beautiful Class A office tower and product that's doing really well. So you can see it takes up almost an entire city block here. And this is going to be all residential rental apartments. We'll keep our eye on this, and we'll periodically come over and see how the construction is progressing. Again, this is between 3rd and 2nd Avenue, right on 42nd Street. This is also where the Pix 11 News station is, right across the street. Since we're at this red light, I'm going to zoom in for all of you. And if we were to walk up these stairs right here, that'll bring us to Tudor City. We're not going to go there today. We're going to save that for another day. I'm really excited about that video. But Tudor City's a really great community. You have these great views overlooking Long Island City. You can see the Long Island sign, by the way, on a clear day, looking straight across the East River. You get great views. And fun fact, it's also a great location to see the Manhattan Henge in the summer when the sun is kind of setting right in between the avenues. Or the streets, rather, in Manhattan. You can really get some great photos there. I'll pull off to the side so you can see it. Everything's pretty much blacked out. They're adding some to the top. Here's what I think about this, though, in terms of the bigger picture. The east side has really, I mean, the further east you go in Midtown, particularly this area, in terms of the small businesses, it's really been faltering, mainly because there's very high office vacancy here. So the old office buildings, you know, no one wants to rent in an older office anymore. They want the nice, beautiful Class A office buildings. So not a lot of people are coming over here in terms of what it used to be. So I'm very optimistic because if we continue to build affordable housing and convert these old offices into residential, well, guess what? If there's thousands of more people living here, they're going to want to shop at the coffee shops. They're going to want to go to the boutiques. They're going to want to, you know, they're going to want infrastructure in their community. And I think that'll bring a lot of business to the smaller businesses here. If we look down here, you can see the United Nations building. Every single year I do a lot of walking tours around this neighborhood during the United Nations General Assembly, and it is just crazy with the traffic, the security. I mean, the NYPD does a really good job. However, it's definitely inconvenient for some of the residences here. This is Remy 43. This is a pretty interesting coffee shop, flower and coffee. And we're approaching 44th. And again, we're going to take this all the way to 69th Street. You can see a lot of the pre-war buildings. These are very, very old. I would assume as the years go on, you're going to have a lot of developers buying out those older pre-war buildings and hopefully making plans to build some more rental apartments. This building, you have the Federal Republic of Nigeria just off to the right. And at 590 Madison, well, not 590 Madison, a few blocks north of 590 Madison, you have the General Consulate for South Korea.
I don't know. I'm from Berlin, and in Berlin we have a huge Turkish community.
Oh, this is a great shot. I don't know if we'll ever get to our destination, but this is the spire of 270 Park Avenue. That's the brand new JP Morgan Chase office tower as we approach 45th Street here. Turkish restaurant here. Turkish Mediterranean Bar and Grill. Yeah, the further east you go is more of a community feel. You're going to see a lot more local mom and pop family owned restaurants as opposed to the massive chains that kind of dominate the center of Midtown Manhattan. You can find a lot of hidden gems over here. I'm not too sure if I shouted out this place before, but one of my favorite tea shops in the city is relatively close to here. It's called Tea Room by Complex. You got to check it out. Try some of their matcha teas. They have one of the best matcha drinks I've ever had in my life. It is a sweet corn matcha latte. Extremely good. Again, over here is looking at the UN. And now you can see the Pepsi Cola sign in the distance across to the East River. Now, if we were to bang this right and then bang the other left and head uptown, you run into a really special community called Beekman Place. That's one of my favorite neighborhoods in New York. I've done pretty extensive coverage of Beekman Place. We've explored some unbelievable, remarkable townhomes. Beekman Place. All of those videos are up on our channel if you'd like to check them out. Okay, we're now approaching 49th Street. Sidewalks are very clear over here as well. You're not kind of dodging so many pedestrians. You also have to try one of my favorite steakhouses. I went there over this holiday season. The Smith & Wollensky that's close is unbelievable. Obviously, they also have a location. My favorite location for Smith & Wollensky is in South Point Park in the South of 5th neighborhood in Miami. In terms of the overall dining experience, if you can ever get there, the Smith & Wollensky at South Point Park, it's unbelievable because they have this remarkable outdoor dining setup right on the water, and you're overlooking Fisher Island for those of you who are familiar with Miami. Now, if we look over here, this building is the Lipstick Building. That's famous where Bernie Madoff ran his Ponzi scheme. This is a really good restaurant too. They have tons of locations around the city. But look at how affordable this is. Prefix menu, appetizer plus a main dish for $30. And you get to sit down and enjoy it. You know, oftentimes now, a lot of the takeout spots around New York can be $30 and $25 to $30. It's gotten crazy. And again, you can really see that juxtaposition between 50th and 51st Street on 2nd Avenue. A lot of those pre-war buildings. This one looks kind of totally blown out. Look at that. I was thinking the other day that I really want to do another Beekman Place walking tour, but I want to wait until the weather improves a little bit and the trees start growing some leaves. This is a better view of that cityscape with the Lipstick Building. In a moment, you're going to see 432 Park Avenue peeking its head in between the Lipstick Building as we approach East 52nd Street. Something smells really good. Maybe it's this Mimi's Italian restaurant. I still owe you guys the name of that omakase place I was talking about that I went to over the Christmas break. It's relatively close to Broadway Lafayette. And I really have to give them credit because it was so good. The quality, the overall dining experience, and I believe it was only like $69 a plate, or per person. Here's another look at 432 Park Avenue. And of course the Lipstick Building. You know, I believe right here on 53rd Street, in between 2nd and 3rd, there's a really interesting gift shop called Chase the Fox. And the owner is really, really cool. So if you're ever in the city and you're looking for a nice gift shop to get things for your clients or family or friends back home from New York, come right here. You could Google it, Chase the Fox. And there's a good Japanese place right across the street, really all along that block, in between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. There's a lot of good restaurants, a lot of good Indian restaurants too, but there's a really good Japanese place you could check out. This is now approaching East 54th Street. And you have the classic Lenwich. I love the building that it's in, by the way. I just love these brick buildings with the fire escapes. Tons of locations of Lenwich throughout the city. A million years ago, when I used to work on the Upper West Side, I would frequent Lenwich a lot. I don't really get to the Upper West Side as much as I used to, but still one of my favorite neighborhoods in the city. You guys are going to enjoy this. This is East 55th Street. And if you look off to the left, this is one of the newest Class A office towers that sits on Park Avenue. It is 425 Park. And that is the temporary home of Citadel and Citadel Securities. As I've mentioned, as we kind of look out at some of the new projects that are going to be coming up in New York City, one of the projects that I'm most excited about is 350 Park. That is going to be another Class A office tower that is set to rival 270 Park, which is Jamie Dimon's office tower for JP Morgan Chase. So Ken Griffin is going to be building this massive, gorgeous office tower on Park, which I believe it's going to sit 1,650 feet tall. So it's going to be taller than 270 Park, if you can imagine that. over the next 5 years, the New York City skyline is going to change in a major way. An ever-evolving skyline, so to speak. Now, I can't mention an ever-evolving skyline in Manhattan without talking about Sutton Place, since we are very close to Sutton Place. As we pan the camera, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, in between the trees, you're going to see a very interesting looking building right here. That is Sutton Tower. And the architect on that deal is one of my favorite architects, Thomas Hansen. Now, Thomas Hansen is an architect that did all of the interiors at 157, which is one of my favorite projects on Billionaires Row. And you usually don't think about super tall skyscrapers when you think about Sutton Place. You think about, the Rosario Candela buildings, the Emery Roth buildings, the townhomes. But Sutton Tower is quite interesting. This is a dead-centered shot of 432 Park Avenue. We talk about this building a lot. Harry Maklau is the developer. Of course, the architect was the famous Hungarian architect responsible for those 10-foot by 10-foot windows, Raphael Vignoli. Speaking of architecture, I always love going down to Miami because when you're walking downtown Miami, my favorite building is the 1000 Museum building, which is the Zaha Hadid building. It has this really unbelievable exoskeleton. It kind of reminds me of a scorpion for whatever reason looking at it. If you just Google the building, you can kind of see what it looks like. And I just love Zaha Hadid's, God rest her soul, but I love Zaha Hadid's work. She has a lot of nice stuff on the High Line here in New York City, which we're going to be exploring a lot once the weather improves. That's one of my favorite things to do, by the way, as spring rolls around, is take a nice walk on the High Line. Okay, this is 57th Street. If we were to make a right here and walk all the way east, that will bring us to the Sutton Place neighborhood. You can see a little bit of that building, 1 Sutton Place South. However, we'll save that tour for another video. That's always a fan favorite here on Walks and Wall Street, Sutton Place. And now we are on 58th Street. Coming up to 59th Street, you're going to be able to see the tram that will go all the way over just off to the left of the 59th Street Bridge. We'll have to film that one day because the views are quite spectacular. You know what, we do have about 5 seconds to cross the street, everyone. So we'll go ahead and take advantage of that opportunity. And you'll be able to see the Roosevelt Island tramway. Look at that. How unique is that? hovering right over the street traffic. And the 59th Street Bridge. Okay, look at this. I'm going to zoom in, and you'll be able to see the 59th Street Bridge right in front of us. And here is a picture-perfect silhouette of Sutton Tower. That's the tallest building in Sutton Place. We have about 9 blocks to go, everyone. This is the main tramway. I really have to film a video taking it, but maybe I'll save that for like a sunset live stream. Now, in terms of living, I don't think I would want to live on 2nd Avenue for a few reasons. It gets very, very busy, as you can imagine, with all of this vehicle traffic trying to get onto the 59th Street Bridge. So there's actually quite a fair bit of new development inventory here, but you know, it does get very noisy and very busy. And you're also going to have a lot of ambulance traffic. You do have a lot of the hospitals over this way as well. The Cornell Hospital for Special Services, or the HSS Cornell, is over towards this way, which is a massive campus. So you have a lot of people driving in, flying in, visitors getting treatments at HSS. Also, you have a lot of students doing residency. But looking on the bright side, you know, living in a major city, oh, look at this Lucid. That's a really nice looking Lucid. A Lucid Gravity, it said. I had no idea that model existed. We'll keep that as a mental note, a Lucid Gravity. In any event, but kind of looking on the bright side of it, you know, if you live in a city like New York, we have some of the best healthcare in the entire world. The best doctors, the best institutions, the best specialists, between NYU Langone Medical Center and Cornell Weill Hospital for Special Services, Mount Sinai. I mean, we really have it all. We're very blessed in that regard to have such great infrastructure for healthcare. It's huge. This is now 62nd Street. Headed northbound, we're about to cross 63rd Street. And I'm going to take you guys to an interesting project. It's right across the street from some of these beautiful townhomes. And it's a private parking garage. And when I launch sales to sell individual spaces in the private parking garage, we had about 26 spaces. I only have 3 left, and I'm about ready to close on a bulk purchase. I got to meet this guy up there. He's going to buy 2 of them, but to kind of give you an idea of the parking market here on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, if you want to purchase your own parking space in a private self-park garage, it's going to run you anywhere between $165,000 and $350,000. But in that case, you'll get your own private space, no valet, because a lot of the garages here, you pay, you know, $500 to $800 a month depending on your vehicle. And then you got to wait in line, you got to wait for the valet guy to bring you your car. Oftentimes, if you have a really nice car, the valet attendants can ding and dent your vehicle. So more often than not, a lot of residents are opting to purchase their space. So I've had clients that, you know, are doctors at the hospital. They just want to winterize one of their supercars because they'll drive, you know, the Ferrari around Manhattan and out east to the Hamptons in the winter, or excuse me, in the summer. But in the winter, they could leave it and cover it in a temperature-controlled garage, which is very convenient. Because if you wanted to store a supercar like that, I mean, it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars a season, on top of getting it serviced. But you could have the service people come right to the garage here. We're now coming up on 65th Street. Two Boots Pizza. And then you're going to start to see a lot of medical infrastructure coming up. This is East 66th Street. Right on the corner of 68th Street, there's a really good coffee shop. They also sell baked goods like bagels and things of that nature. Every single year, the streets of New York are filled with the Christmas tree graveyard.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some to drink, please. Soda, please.
Okay, here we are, 68th Street. One more block, and then you guys will be able to see the entrance to the 2nd Avenue subway, which has been a long time coming. The only downside about the 2nd Avenue subway is that it's really, really far in terms of down underground. I mean, it seems like it takes a millennia just to get down to the train. Obviously, they've had to build the subway that far down. Now, this deal was pretty interesting because the garage used to own, or the building, the Mayfair at 301 East 69th Street, used to own the garage, but we bought it, or my client bought it from the Condop, and we were going to run it as a big valet parking operation, but the city of New York made my client sell the garage to the city of New York. It was an eminent domain sale, and they needed to do that in order to build the 2nd Avenue subway. So the economy of the deal, the economics of the deal, no longer worked to run it as a valet operation. So what we had to do is we had to file a bunch of paperwork with the AG, the Attorney General of New York, and essentially condominiumize the garage. Since there's only about 26 spaces, we filed to condominiumize the garage and generate what's called individual tax lots on each space. So now it's just the same process of buying a condo. You know, you could pay cash, write us a check for $165,000, and then you get a deed to your parking space, and then you just pay the common charges as normal. It's a pretty interesting concept, and that kind of allows the client to get out of the deal. So, interesting deal for sure to work on, being that it won't work as daily parking or a valet operation, so the only way to kind of get our money out of the deal is to condominiumize each space and then sell off ownership individually. This is the 301 East 69th Street, the Condop that used to own the garage. And you have just these beautiful, look at these Upper East Side townhomes that are across the street. It's a beautiful and wonderful neighborhood. As you can imagine, parking is a very scarce asset in New York. And if you keep walking all the way over to the east side, you have the Cornell Hospital for Special Services. More of those beautiful townhomes. And then here's the entrance to the garage. So it's a private garage. You just get a clicker. And I only really got about 2 spaces left. So it's completely temperature controlled in here. 24/7 security. And we even give our clients a full restroom. And all of our security cameras back up here. And it backs up to AWS. So if you notice somebody scratching your car, something happens, which is very unlikely, you're able to figure it out. Okay, so if you guys enjoyed that video, feel free to subscribe to the channel, leave a like on the video, and as always, we'll see you in the next one, and thank you so much for watching.